I'm joined today by Gavin, who's a parent, and I'd like to chat to Gavin today about some of the concerns that some parents may have about their children's behaviours online, or behaviours of children and young people in general. So thank you very much for joining me today. Tell me a little bit, you've got quite young children, Gavin.
I have, yes. Ella, who's 6, and Ethan, who's 9 years old.
So 6 and 9, that's quite young.
It is, yes.
But there's a bit of a myth, I think, which I don't know if you find this is unfounded, but a lot of people don't think that young children go online very much.
I know my children have become quite frequent users of the internet, especially now at school.
Yes.
So when they want to come home and do some research for a homework project, one of the first places they want to do is go on a search engine, just like we would.
Yeah, absolutely. And whereas years gone by, I might have gone to the shelf and found an encyclopedia.
Yes, which is what we encourage ours to do, but ultimately they still want to go and have a look online.
Absolutely, the Google search. And I think the big thing to come out of this Safer Internet Day and our advice to parents, teachers and young users themselves is the internet is a great place.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's like all the things in life that someone gets spoiled. They're spoiled by the few, and that can sometimes be to the detriment of the many. And obviously, it's a massive encyclopedia, and it has other things. You know, you can actually take the picture and use it rather than just see it in a book and need to go and use a photocopy.
Absolutely.
You can move things around and get them in the shape you want them. So I think it's a fantastic resource.
Yeah, and it's very instant, isn't it?
It is, yes.
That's the thing. So I think that we're not saying don't go away and don't use the internet, throw your PC away. What we're saying is use it, it's a great resource. But be a bit mindful about how, especially young children, are using it and learning those rules of using the internet to start with. So tell me a little bit about some of the things that they might use, for example.
I think especially when doing like homework projects and looking at a particular thing, I'm thinking of my son recently. He had to do a project on World War II,
Okay.
and so he wanted to obviously look at and find some images that were related to the area of World War II that he was looking at, and then to put those into a PowerPoint presentation. So that would be one of the sort of things he would do. My daughter's a bit younger, so she wouldn't be doing sort of that kind of level thing at the moment, but she does often want to play sometimes some little games online as well.
Yes.
You know, so Daddy, I want to play some games. So and some of the ones that are linked to sort of TV's children's programs, those are the ones that she would go for.
And I know that they use the interactive whiteboards in classrooms, and so the internet is quite freely accessible. Can we talk a little bit about some of the risks, some of the dangers that children and young people are experiencing online, maybe some of the behaviours? Only I wonder if sometimes we use a Google search and then sometimes things come up that maybe are a little bit frightening, a little bit worrying, and they start to take a few risks online. Have you experienced that as a parent or heard other parents?
Well, I think, you know, the accessing of inappropriate material, not deliberately, accidentally, would be one of the things that concerns me most. It's a really silly example. A couple of years ago, we were producing something for some homework to do with Christmas. And it sounds silly, but we were searching for holly and ivy. And actually what came up in an image search further down that search were some really inappropriate images.
Really?
Just searching for holly and ivy. Now, obviously, that was with somebody. I've got filters set and those kind of things, so I get those things, but still things can get through. And it's really hard to explain to Ethan, who is a couple of years younger than he is now, what those images are about.
Absolutely, and what to do if you're concerned about the images, who to tell, and how. And so as parents, I've heard of the filters, and I know in schools we have firewalls, but actually children seem to be able to get around them quite easily.
They do.
But putting the firewalls up is a good thing, do you think?
I do, yes. The way that we try to do it at home is that we do have an individual account, if you like, a login for every one of the children. So it feels like they've got some ownership, but I try to make sure that those accounts for the children are very limited in terms of what they can access. But it is, you know, as they get older, they will be able to find ways around them. They'll probably know a lot more than me in a couple of years' time. So
I think that's it, because they are experts, aren't they?
They are.
And I do think that they do. But I also think about sort of talking to your children and explaining that, you know, if you do see something inappropriate, or if somebody is trying to contact you or talk to you online that you don't know in real time, that you need to speak to someone.
Absolutely. My daughter, as I said, she's only 6, she came home from school on Friday, and she just came up to me actually and said, "Daddy, do you know, I was told today that if I go on Google and see something I don't like, I have to tell a grown-up," she said. I was really pleased. I was a little surprised, because she's 6 years old, but I was really, really impressed that the school had made that a central part of what that lesson should be doing that day to do with IT. So that's really good. So they were encouraging her to make use of a Google web search, but they gave some very clear guidelines. Not just, and I was glad that they said a grown-up in a sense, because she might be with other people. She might be with other parents of friends. She might be at school. She might be somewhere different and not with me. So I thought that idea of telling a grown-up was good.
I think it's fantastic. And a 6-year-old.
Yes.
How clever is it? You know, how advanced is that? If I'm worried about anything I see, tell a grown-up when you're 6 years old. And that's really good, because I think education is really, really important. I think some things that some parents have said to us, we've covered a little bit about the inappropriate content and the fact that things are so easily accessible and so quick and so instant. And you touched on it a little bit in terms of, you said, you know, you can copy images and download them, put them in PowerPoint presentations. And I know in other areas of this particular information hub, we're going to be talking about content. But I think one of the dilemmas of parents is that you talk to your children, you might put sort of firewalls up at home, you might talk about inappropriate content, but it's when often children go to other children's homes, and also the fact that we've got these Android phones that can now access the internet anywhere. We used to have this old saying, didn't we, you know, don't have your PC in your bedroom, have it in the family room, etc., etc. And I still think that's a great idea for particularly younger children who are accessing things and have got them in a sort of a family area. But with these sort of advances in technology, it seems that children can get hold of the internet anywhere.
They can. We have made a decision in our household that the main internet-connected computer, the PC, is in a room that we all use, a communal room of the house. So that's something we do, and that can be hard because, especially for my son who's a bit older, he might come back from a friend's house, having had gone around for tea, and said, "Oh, we played on so-and-so's computer in his bedroom." Can't I have mine in my bedroom? That's fair enough. And so that's good, and they seem quite happy with that at home. But as you've said, I mean, Ethan's got a handheld games device, and central to that is being able to play against other people just about anywhere in the world and do different things. So, which of course means connected to the internet. So the way that I've managed to work with that is to set up the account on that handheld unit in my name, and he holds a sub-account. The sad thing about that is this one particular game, a football game he plays, and it requires that kind of access to update it. And it stops him doing it. And it's a bit like how sometimes the actions of a few spoil the great things that are available for the many. But it is a concern. But how you control it when they start getting phones, that's something I've got to worry about in the next couple of years.
Yes, okay. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Especially my daughter, who's already quite a socialite at 6 years old.
I think what you're saying today, Gavin, is echoed by many parents. And I think a lot of parents are worried that they don't have the technical abilities to put up firewalls, and I don't know how easy it is. Did you find it quite easy?
Well, it's interesting. In my day job, I'm responsible for safeguarding in my organisation, and we train staff, we train volunteers. But interestingly, sitting here talking to you makes me think we don't perhaps do enough to inform parents. And it can be sometimes quite a technical minefield. People can fear actually messing up their computer or stopping it doing something they want to be able to do just to set up for their children. And probably good communication with parents is probably about just as important as the training we offer professionally to volunteers and to staff, really, and probably an area where we could do a lot more.
Well, thank you so much for coming to the university today to talk to us. I'm sure that your advice and your common sense approach to enabling and empowering your children to use the internet is really good, and I think it will resonate with a lot of people and allay some of the concerns. And I think just as we set boundaries in real life, maybe we ought to think about setting boundaries in our virtual lives as well. So thank you very much for that, and hopefully we'll get some feedback. Thank you.